small pit, put vegetable waste and leaves in it. Cover them with soil, add some water. After 3 days, remove the upper layer of the soil. Does the pit feel warm inside? Paheli asked. There are so many trees here. Also, there are many forests like this. What difference will it make if we cut some trees for a factory? Pro Ahmed said, you have read about autotrophs, heterotrophs, and saprotrophs. You have learned how green plants produce food, all animals, whether herbivorous or carnivorous, depend ultimately on plants for food. Organisms which feed on plant often get eaten by other organisms, and so on. For example, grass is eaten by insect, which is turn is taken by the frog. The frog is consumed by a snake. This is said to form a food chain: grass, insect, frog, snake, eagle. Many food chain can be found in the forest. All food chains are linked. If any one food chain is disturbed, it affects other food chain. Every part of the forest is dependent on the other part. If we remove one component, say trees, all other component would be affected. Pro Hamad asked children to pick up leaves from the forest floor and absorb them under hand lens. They found tiny mushroom over the declined leaves. They also saw an army of tiny insects, millipedes, ants, and beetles on them. They were wondering how these organisms live there. Pro Hamad explained that apart from these animals, which are easily seen, there are several organisms and microorganisms that lives in the soil. Paheli wondered what mushroom and other microorganisms eat. Prohamad replied that they feed, open the dead plant and animals' tissue, and convert them into a dark colored substance called humus. In which layer of the soil would you find humus? What is its importance to the soil? The microorganisms which convert the dead plant and animals to humus are known as decomposer. These microorganisms play an important role in the forest. Soon Paheli removed some dead leaves and discovered under them a layer of humus on forest floor. The presence of humus ensures that the nutrients of the dead plants and animals are released into the soil. From there, these nutrients are again absorbed by the root of living plants. What happens if an animal die in the forest? Sila asked. Tibu replied that dead animals become food for vulture, crows, jackals, and insects. In this way, the nutrients are cycled, so nothing goes waste in a forest. Paheli remained pro-Ahmed that he had not explained why forests are called green lung. Pro-Ahmed explained that plants release oxygen through the process of photosynthesis. The plant help to provide oxygen for animals' respirations. They also maintain the Paheli remained their friend that they have studied photosynthesis in chapter 1. Plant oxygen, animals, balance of oxygens and carbon dioxide. Balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That is why forests are called lungs. The children saw cloud forming the sky. Bujo recalled what he had learned about this water cycle in class 6. Trees take in water from their roots and release water vapor into the air through evaporation. If there were fewer trees, how will the water cycle be affected? Tibu told them that the forest is not just home plant and animals. Many people also live in the forest. Some of them may belong to different tribes. Tibu explained that these people depend mostly on the forest. The forest provide The forest provide them with food, shelter, water, and medicine. They have traditional knowledge about many medicinal plants in the forest. While Bujo was drinking water from a small stream, he saw some deer crossing the stream. They disappear into the bushes, the dense bushes and the tall grass and provide animal with the food and shelter they Paheli remained that she saw people sapling on the sidewalk in her school. Can you help the understand how this would have happened? Also protect them from carnivores that live in the forest. Tibu then started looking closely at the forest floor. Soon he called and show the children dropping of some animals and explain the difference between various type of dropping. Pro Ahmed informed them that the forest officer could recognize the presence of some animal in the forest by their droppings and footprint. Bojo called, Bojo called everyone and showed them a large declining heap of animal dropping. Several beetles and grapples were feeding on the heap and bunch of seeding was sprouting. These seeding are the herbs and shrubs. The animals also display the seeds of certain plants and help the forest to grow and regenerate. The declined animal dungs also provide nutrients to the seedling to grow. Said Pro Ahmed after listening to this, Bujo noted in this notebook by naming greater variety of plant, the forest provide greater opportunities for food and habitat for the herbivores. Largest numbers of herbivores means increased availability of food for variety of rain, transpiration, evaporations, the closed envelope, and many layers of vegetation slow down the speed of raindrops. Root system. The root system help water help down in the ground. Carnivores, the wide variety of animals, help the forest regenerate and grow. Decomposers help in maintaining the supply nutrients to the growing plant in the forest. Therefore, the forest is a dynamic living entity full of life and vitality. It was about afternoon and the children wanted to go back. Tipu Tibu suggested another route for going back. While they were going back, it started raining. However, surprisingly, they saw that the raindrops were not hitting the forest floor directly. The uppermost layer of the forest canopy interrupted the flow of raindrops, and most of water was coming down through the branches and streams of the stream from the leaves. It was dripping slow over the branches of the shrub and herb. They found that the ground was still dry after about half an hour. The rain stopped. They noticed that the layer of dead leaves for the forest floor appeared wet now, but water did not stagnate in the forest. Bujo thought that if had rained so heavily in his town, it would have flooded and drains and road. What would happen if it rains heavily in your town? Pohammer told them that the forest also acts as a natural absorber of rainwater, allow it to sheet. It helps maintain the water table throughout the years. The forest not only help in the controlling flood but also help maintain the flow of water in the stream so that we get a steady supply of water. On the other hand, if trees are not present, rain hits the ground directly and may flood in the areas around. It heavy rain may also damage the soil. Roots of trees normally bind the soil together, but in their absence, the soil is washed away or erode. The children spent an hour in Tibu village on their way back. The weather of the village was quite pleasant. Village told them that due to the surroundings forest, they received good rainfall. The air also remained cool. Noise pollution too is less because the forest absorbed the noises of the nearby highways. The children learned about the history of village. It surprised them that the village had and the agriculture's field of that area were created after clearing the forest about 60 years ago. Tibu grandfather told them that when he was young, the village was not as large as it was now. It was also surrounded by forest. Constructions of roads, buildings, industrial development, and increasing demand of wood created pressures on the forest and it started vanishing. He was not happy that the forest adjoining their village is not a regenerated and is on the verge of the despairing due to the overgrazing of animals and discriminate feelings of trees. Prohama said that if we did things wisely, we could preserve forest and environment as we help us have development. Children prepare a few pictures so the conclusion of such an event. At the end of the visit, Pro Ahmed asked children to some importance of forest. The children wrote forests provide us with oxygen, they protect soil and provide habitat to large numbers of animals. Forests help bringing good rainfall in neighboring areas. They were a source of medicinal plant, timbers and many others useful products. We must preserve our forest. What would happen if the forest disappears? Disappears. If forests disappear, the amount of carbon dioxide air will increase, resulting in the increase of earth temperatures. In the absence of trees and plant, the animals will not get food and shelter. In the absence of trees, the soil will not hold water, which will cause flood. Deforestation will endanger our life and environment. Think what we can do to preserve our forest. Carbon deforestation. We get various products from the forest surrounding us. Forest is a system comprising various plant, animals, and microorganisms. In a forest, trees from the uppermost layer, followed by shrub, the herbs for the lowest layer of vegetation. Different layers of vegetation provide food and shelter for animals, birds, and insects. The various components of the forest are interdependent on one another. The forest keeps on growing and changing and can regenerate. In the forest, there is a interactions between soil, waters, air, and living organisms. Forest protect the soil from erosion. Soil help the protest to grow and regenerate. Forests are lifeline for the forest dwelling communities. Forests influence climate and water cycles and air qualities. Explain how animals dwelling in the forest help it grow, regenerate. Explain how forests prevent flood. What are decomposer? Name any two of them. What do they in the forest? Explain the role of forest in maintaining the balance between oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Explain why there is no waste in the forest. List 5 products we get from forest.